By the time I get this uploaded, it'll probably be Christmas already. So I've got a very special present for you all here today, which is one of the longest, most nail-biting tier 10 games I've had in a while. Playing my Object 140. This is part of my effort to rescue this tank's win rate from 46% after 60 games up to 52%, which it is currently. I should note I started out the same way with the T62A, abysmal win rate that just gradually got better. I don't know why. I play the thing really well compared to the 62A, but it still has a worse win rate. It's beyond my comprehension. Anyway, I do my usual thing for swamps. I head to the North Donut. And we've already been spotted by our bat chat, who is throwing away his hit points as we speak. Good use of a tier 10 medium tank right there. Confirming that the enemy is indeed just outside their spawn, 40 seconds into the game. I get spotted on the way up, but thankfully nothing has shots at me yet. Apologies if I sound a bit groggy, I'm kind of tired. Anyway, just hanging out in the corner, you know, trying not to get TD'd. Try and coax this AMX around the corner where I can actually shoot him and get him to stop spotting my teammates. But Risk is already taking care of him. Now, the enemy do have a Conqueror GC, so I need to be very fucking careful. There is no such thing as arty cover when there's a British arty in the game. Conq GC is ridiculously good at hitting things over mountains. So the E50M slips past, I wasn't able to get a shot on him. Sort of shifting around a lot, trying to find a place I can get shots without getting hit. The enemy T30 just derps straight on through, oblivious. My first shot hits too high and bounces off the side of his turret. He backs up, giving me 3 shots at him. My second shot pans. He disappears into cover, but the E50M also decides to reverse in front of my gun. Very kind of him. So I land another hit on the E50M, but it's not worth the hits I take in order to do it. I managed to finish him off by shooting in between fence posts. North's beginning to fall apart. We have a fucking lot of tanks in the swamp, and the guys down south are actually bots, basically. Our E3 doesn't really move until the end of the game. Our Leopard is a bot. Well, maybe not, but he's AFK until the end of the game. T30 shoots at me and misses, thankfully, because that was a very stupid move on my part. While he's reloading, I pop out and try and get a track shot on him. It doesn't work out, but at least I get some damage in. I decide rather than chancing a reload race with him, I let the 5041 drive in front of me and act as a blade of armor. He backs out because he's an idiot, gets hit by both the T30 and the Conqueror GC, but having just taken that big hit from Arty and splashing me with it, I'm not keen to sit next to him anymore. Gets wiped out by the T30. I figure, oh, maybe I can get one more shot in. Maybe. Please. I'm very lucky that that worked out for me. Either the Arty could have hit me, the T30 could have just snapshot, could have blind shot. I was lucky I didn't get killed doing that. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. Bad example. So it's just Risk and I up here. Our JPE went middle, our ISA went middle, most of our shit went middle. They're just fucking being useless. There's nothing down south to support Polka because the E3 is hopeless and the Leopard is basically sitting there with his dick in his hands. He's only got 3,000 games, so I'd say probably the Leopard is the second or third line he's gone up, and the Leopard is not a tank that should ever be in the hands of new players, let alone bad new players. Just pop out to see if I can find that T30 again. I can't, so I dive back into cover. I know he's low on health, and I really want to get that last shot into him, but it's just not happening. Now, I very carelessly roll out of cover here, knowing I'm not spotted. Terrible shot, wasn't worth the risk. Start to head towards middle to see if there's anything I can do. I leave the north in Risk's capable hands, track myself on the way downhill, but manage to do so without actually inflicting damage. Risk is going to get pushed on and killed eventually, but for now he can at least hold north while I go and get stuff done elsewhere on the map. See our E3 and our Leopard Prototype A in the most useless positions known to man. They can't even render enemies from where they are. Polka gets killed because he just gets swarmed. Entirely because those two are just doing nothing. If they had fired a single shot in his support, he'd probably still be alive and able to do stuff. So it's on me to carry the south now. I pop over and spot them both. I don't want to hang around on this ridgeline. I should have just driven straight forwards rather than backed up, but I just wasn't thinking straight at the time. I was so infuriated with those two guys in spawn. Thankfully, neither of them are looking at me. They're both intent on pushing up to engage the spawn, and Arati is actually doing God's work. I quickly sweep in behind, looking to pop that T-30. E4's looking at me though, so that really puts the brakes on my ambitions. E4 starts coming up, but thankfully I get to cover in time. So I now have a building between an E4 and myself. The E4's at full health. I'm one-shottable if he high rolls. I've got a Batchat Artie right next to me behind another building. You'll see me doing this, just driving back and forth. That's because myself and Polka are debating in TeamSpeak what the best course of action is. Eventually he talks me out of being scared of the E4, and I just try and keep the building between myself and it. That's why I'm looking behind myself at the moment. Batchat spots me and it's instantly kill Artie mode. First shot bounces or hits his gun or something. He misses his first shotgun, I miss my second shot. Sweep around and thankfully out-traverse his gun slightly, just enough to get away with it. And then Arati cleans him up. Now I'm not going to hang around with that E4, so I'm trying to keep some cover between myself and him, fence posts, but he gets taken care of thankfully by our E3, who has finally decided to leave the base now that most of his team is dead. I get lit crossing the bridge, by what I'm not sure. Rather than chance it, I immediately dive off to the right side and put terrain between myself and whatever was spotting me. I mill around here for a few seconds. I decide it's not worth hanging around, so I turn and head back towards north. This time I cross the fording point in the water rather than the bridge because I don't want to get relit. Turns out that thing that probably lit me was the E3, not something you want to be in front of in a medium tank, especially a medium tank with only 982 hit points left. Our E3, who is still full health, God bless him, is still moving up. Our Leopard still hasn't decided to leave base. I just head for the low ground instinctively. I'm fairly confident there's no enemies on our side of the map yet, at least not this far south, but I just try and keep to the low ground anyway because it's safer and I know it's already been cleared. Leopard's just sitting there being useless. Arati's shifting around, trying not to get killed. So at this point, there's really only me and Arati in the game. Our E3 is just useless. Our Leopard is basically a bot for all intents and purposes. So if I fuck up, we're going to lose, and I know it. I spot the JPE. Now, he doesn't spot me, but he must have had an idea what was happening, because by the time I pop out at the bridge, he's relocated to be aiming at it. Probably his sixth sense went off and he figured correctly that there was a medium coming across middle towards him. So I roll out, I spot him looking at me. Nope. I'm back behind the hill. they still have that arty to worry about as well. So I try and get out of there as quickly as I can without being relit. Once I'm sure I'm unspotted, I head out to the right a bit, try and just put some distance between myself and him. And I decide instead to head for the middle of the swamp, since hopefully he won't be able to climb back up the hill quite so fast. Now I do hesitate quite badly here, wondering if there's one of the Waffenträger actually, I don't have anything else. I'm wondering if he's going to support the E3 from somewhere I can hit. Also wondering if the JP has come back. I decide to wait for Artie to be set, ready to go. Sure enough, the Waffenträger's there. He was just out of my render distance. I don't have shots on him anyway, and I'm glad I don't, because it would mean he would have shots on me. So I just proceed up the middle hill to try and relight that JP for Artie. There's not really much question of me killing him myself. I just don't have the hit points for it. So I pop up, get him respotted, back off again. The enemy Waffenträger auto-aimed our E3 and fired every shot in his clip straight into the E3's mantlet, did not pen once. So thankfully the enemy team had one of the worst pubbies on it, otherwise we'd be down in E3 and this would be even harder to carry. Anyway, I'm definitely unspotted now, so I decide to poke back up. You see me hesitating a little, I really don't want to be in front of that thing. I'm also waiting for our E3 to move up a little. Leopard still has not left his spot. Finally though, he seems to start moving here. JP is slow to turn, so I get a quick shot into his side and have him lit for Artie. Rather than chance another shot, I just back off and try and work my way around. He gets slammed by I think our bat chat. I just try and proxy spot him here, which I do. I'm tempted to run out in front of him and risk the hit, but the Artie takes him, which saves me from doing something stupid. So it's just the enemy Artie left. I have no idea where he ran to. He's probably hiding in A3 or something, because we never saw him again. In fact, the time he was spotted in A7 was the only time he was seen. So I just head up through this pass, thinking maybe I'll catch him as he runs out of their base, or heads back to reset. But no sign of him. Like I said, I think he must have gone to A3 or B2 or something after he saw me in mid. That's all I can think of. Our E3 is an idiot and is driving away from the cap when we've got 1 minute and 39 seconds left. So we must cap to win this game. Unless there are any suicides into us, we have to cap. So I get on there, I tell him to follow me, because I assume he just doesn't speak English. And it's tempting, but it just seems like too obvious a spot for Artie to blind shot, because, I mean, you just want to drive into one of these craters. You really do, so I figured I'll sit next to it, not in it. Now here's a question. What kind of horrible Satanist designed these craters just deep enough that an E3 can go completely hull down in them, and then put 2 of them in the cap zone? Could you imagine? Look at that shit. Could you imagine this if there was no Artie and the enemy had to cap against that fucking thing? 2 E3s could hold this base against all comers, almost. It's ridiculous. But anyway, it was a hard-fought game. Very hard-fought. I'm glad we won it. It took an expenditure of a considerable amount of effort to make sure I didn't do something stupid and get myself killed. I ended up traveling something like 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers in this match. I don't usually drive more than about 2 or 3. So I did a lot of shuffling back and forth from one flank to the other. I really had to because nobody else was doing anything. 140 is just such a good carry tank, but it seems like I can't do it until, I guess really recently I've been able to, but my initial 50 or so games with this tank were just a nightmare. I played great in it every single time almost, but I just get fucked by teams that refuse to participate in the battle. And you can see it this time as well, another team that refused to participate. It's only by the fact that my platoon got so much done and our arty was really on the ball. Like, our arty was fucking brilliant this game. It was only through that we won, really. For most of the game, I was the only one spotting targets. I was the only one putting out damage. Other than the arty, it was just abysmal. But, you know, it goes to show what a medium tank can do if it's played cautiously enough. You know, if the rest of your team's being useless, you still at least have a shot at helping the arty carry the day.